Well, here we are back with this Royal Enfield 500 Bullet, and this is the one that I rode yesterday, which had supposedly had trouble with first gear, although it seemed to have been down to clutch cable adjustment more than anything else. I certainly had no trouble with first gear when I rode it and got all the other gears fine, but since riding it I made a slight adjustment in here because as the clutch lever came back to the bars after I adjusted the cable, it was stopping hard against something just as the lever came to the handlebars, and what it was the arm in here bottoming out against the back of the casing. So I just took a couple of turns up on the threaded adjuster in there to bring the arm forward, so we've now got a full range of clutch lever movement. I haven't had a look in the primary case yet to see if the pressure plate's lifting evenly. That's because I've been working on the engine, and there had apparently been a slight oily. I did notice that the fins were a bit oily when it arrived actually, even though it didn't seem to sort of show any signs of leakage after that ride yesterday. The owner had said that it was losing a little bit of oil at the head gasket joint. So I decided I'd take the tank off and the rocker covers off and see if the head nuts would tighten. And the internal ones, the four inside the rocker covers, went a good way, anywhere from half a turn to a turn each. And I thought about putting it all back together and going for a run on it, but the owner phoned me and reminded me that there was a head gasket in the box of bits he brought with it. So I thought, well, I'm halfway there, and the exhaust pipe had to come out anyway because it had been blowing and I needed to seal around it. So I thought, well, I'm only going to take the carburettor off now and undo the cylinder head nuts off, and I'm there. So I took the head off and fitted a new gasket, well sealed both sides of it. It was a copper sandwich one, the same as the one I took out of it actually. So it's got a new one in there. All that's done, put back together, and the exhaust pipe had been blowing here, and it hadn't been pushed more than about a centimetre into the head actually. So I sort of bent and reshaped this bracket here to allow the pipe to move further back the whole lot, so it went into the head further. And also, when I had the pipe off, I found it had this horrible thing welded inside it, welded right at the end of the pipe where it fits into the silencer, so it would have been like that. So I got my grinder out and removed that piece of crap. Now another thing the owner said to me was that he'd like to sort of improve the breathing on it and possibly jet it up or whatever if it was required. Well, clearly someone has tried to do something with it before, because the needle in the carburettor had been raised by one notch from the middle groove that they're usually in, so there was only one notch further to go. But since I took this out, and based on how it was running yesterday with that in and the needle where it was, I've raised the needle to its final and highest position. So I've yet to start it up. I certainly haven't ridden it yet, and I thought what I'd do now is make an attempt at starting it. We've got the sealant around the pipe there. That horrible baffle is out, the needle is raised, so I'm going to put the camera down, climb up there and see if I can get it to make any noise for us. It might sound a little bit more, shall we say, fruity than it did yesterday, possibly. Now then, hopefully that'll do, and the camera won't take a dive down to the ground when I start the bike. Choke. Oh, enrichener actually. Certainly a little bit more of a boom coming out of the exhaust now than there was yesterday. All sounds pretty happy with life, both from the exhaust and mechanically actually. I'll turn that up just a little bit. No need to have it go like that's better. It might speed up actually when it warms up. My next job, I'm just going to take this off and make sure that the pressure plate is lifting squarely and evenly. Also I want to adjust the rear chain, possibly the rear brake, and then it won't be long, might even do it later today before I knock off, but it won't be long before we'll go for another ride on it to see what it's like after its little visit to Performance Classics. And that sounds good, I'm happy with that. So watch this space and we'll see if it's got any more get up and go than it had yesterday when I rode it. I think it might have a bit. The other thing is, should the owner want to, of course, he didn't mention it, I could always retard the inlet cam timing, but that'll be up to him. So we'll see, keep an eye out for that one.